from Houston, Texas, and around the world. It's time to get your champagne wishes and caviar dreams. Welcome inside the Hall of Fame. Now, can you dig that?
What up, y'all? Welcome inside the Hall of Fame. I'm Booker T, 6-time world heavyweight champion, 2-time Hall of Famer. Got my man Brad Gilmore here with me. As always, want to thank everybody for stepping inside the Hall of Fame, getting your champagne wishes and caviar dreams. Get this thing kicked off, man. Ain't no other way around it, man. We definitely gotta mention the passing of Hulk Hogan. This is always one of those bitter moments for me, man, just because we're in that fraternity. And there's no way we can get around it. You know what I mean? But Hulk Hogan passed away on Tuesday, July 24th, 2025. I'm sure a lot of people are going to remember that day for many, many years to come. Hulk Hogan, an icon. You know, it's no other way to say it. I mean, he definitely put wrestling on the map, you know, in the 80s, 90s, 2000s. He's been a part of the fabric of professional wrestling ever since my childhood. Coming up, if you didn't grow up wanting to be a Hulkamaniac, you know, brother, you know, I mean, the one that always got me was, how much did you pay for the plastic surgery, man? You know, when they did the old switch, they Hebner brothers back in the day. All the Saturday night main events coming up as a youngster. Hulk was a staple on the Saturday night main event shows. I got the phone call early, and it was from you, Brad.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things to where I was just kicking around the house, doing nothing. I hadn't looked at my phone or anything like that. And then you called me, and you had that sound in your voice, you know, and it was a sound like, you know, you could feel it. You could feel it. And when that's the last thing. Last thing I thought you was gonna say, this last thing I thought was going to come out of your mouth was Hulk Hogan died. And I go, wow. How'd you feel about it when you first heard? How did you hear about it? I mean, what
you know, it was one of those things. I was sitting there, and I think I picked up my phone, and you know, we have those automatic habits where you pick your phone up and you just scroll through something real quick, and I had no reason to do it, and I saw a bunch of pictures of Hogan all of a sudden on my feed, and I'm like, what is going on? And it was kind of similar to, in a way, when we were doing this show one time, and I got all the messages about Bray. Everyone saying something about Bray, and I was like, "What's happening?" And then I saw the TMZ story that said, you know, Hulk Hogan has passed away at 71, and yeah, it was a gut punch. You know, it was a gut punch because you have to acknowledge the fact that without Hogan, we're not having this show. Like, reality of wrestling probably doesn't exist. WWE doesn't get to the, you know, level that it got to without him and Vince McMahon kind of taking over the national scene and getting wrestling out of the territory system. And Hogan was the guy. I was telling a friend of mine who's, you know, not a wrestling fan, but obviously they know who Hulk Hogan is. Like, Hulk is the guy to where it's like, if you didn't know what wrestling was, you still knew who he was, right? In the 80s and 90s, it's like, do you know who Hulk Hogan is? Well, of course I know who Hulk Hogan is. You know, they might not know Jake the Snake. That's no slight to Jake, but I'm saying, like, Hulk was just the guy. He was the guy who they put on the talk shows. He was on Johnny Carson. He was on Saturday Night Live. He was the crossover star. He's on the cover of Sports Illustrated as a pro wrestler. So it was a gut punch, man. And it wasn't a phone call that I enjoyed making either. And I remember telling it. I maybe assumed that you had seen it, and it sucked. And obviously Hulk, you know, in his later years, there's a complicated legacy there in some regard. And you can debate, you know, kind of his outside the ring things, you know, but be that as it may, Hulk Hogan, as the guy that we knew him, who said to say your prayers and eat your vitamins and trained every day. He main evented 8 of the first 9 WrestleManias. He slammed Andre at WrestleMania 3 in front of 93,173 people. Vince McMahon said it so many times, it's burned into my brain, right? From the Silver Dome. And we all remember him coming out at WrestleMania 30 and calling the Superdome the Silver Dome. But who didn't try to tear their shirt off like Hulk Hogan? Who didn't want to do their cupping of the ear or the Hogan must pose and do the poses of Hulk Hogan? He's just so embedded into my DNA as a wrestling fan that it's hard to say without him, I probably wouldn't have been a fan. Steve Austin was the guy that brought me in, but Hulk Hogan is the guy who, I don't know, Book, if there's a guy who had 2 generational runs in 2 different companies the way that he did, because he had the run in WWF. He main events the first, 8 or 9 WrestleManias, and then he leaves, turns heel, and has this whole second run in WCW, and did for WCW what he did for the WWF, set it ablaze, and make it the most profitable time in pro wrestling.
Yeah, but it was a different kind of run. I think the second run in WCW wasn't about the wrestling or anything like that. No. Because I don't think you can really recall one Hogan match in WCW that really stood out the way you go, man, that match.
Not for good reason.
That was the one right there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't remember a lot of bad matches. like him and Sting or him and Warrior. I mean, the finger poke
Savage, you know what I mean?
Yeah, him and Savage.
It was, but it was 2 totally different careers, but both of them was as impactful as the other.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I totally agree with you. On that right there. You talk about Hulk Hogan being very, very polarizing, and I gotta agree with you as far as that go. But I just want people to know a little bit of a story about Hulk Hogan, and I don't know if he had I never know if he had a ulterior motive or an agenda or anything when it comes to this little story, this little nugget. My brother and I in WCW. At one point, they were wondering, man, what tag team that they should go with. You know what I mean? They were talking about these guys. They were talking about these guys. They had this guys in mind. Guys over here, but Harlem Heat name was not mentioned. In that group, pretty much. And we got with Sherry Martel, and Hulk Hogan went to the company and he said, "Look, guys, I don't know why you're looking for your tag team when they're right here in front of you. The Harlem Heat. These are your guys. These are the guys to go with." And boom, my brother and I, we got the rocket put on us from that point on. And we became the 10-time WCW tag team champions. Just from a word that Hulk put in, and that's why I say, I never knew Hulk personally or anything like that. We never broke bread together or anything like that, like you and I. I never called Hulk a friend or anything like that. He definitely was a peer, definitely was a co-worker. And he definitely was a guy who pretty much changed the name of the game as far as this business goes. He really did do that. But I must say, and I've told him this before too. This is not something that I'm just telling to the world now. I mean, this is a conversation that I've had with him. I thanked him for that. I think maybe even on this show. I thanked him for, doing that for Harlem Heat. I also thanked him for not, perhaps getting me fired with my most infamous moment in all of professional wrestling. You know what I mean? That people are still talking about still to this day. That I can't get away from it. I can't run away from it. I can't hide from it or anything like that because of social media. But that day for me, I always wonder what would have happened, if that would have happened today, and I always wonder what would have happened if he would have taken, a certain feeling about that and went to the office and said something, where would I be right now? You know what I mean? So like I said, I thank the dude for what he did for the business, as well as, sparking the flame for Harlem Heat to go on a run that will never be duplicated in all professional wrestling.
Yeah, I think that many people probably don't know that story about the Harlem Heat thing, him going to the office. And then on the other side, like when you said the infamous moment, Hogan they could have easily been like, "Hey, Hulk, I think Bischoff running it at the time of that?" Yeah. So Bischoff and Hogan are tight, and he could have been like, "Hey, Hulk, what do you think about what Booker said? He could have been like, look, you can't trust this guy with a live microphone. You can't trust him. I don't know if we should, he could have easily buried you. I don't appreciate what he said. Da, 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 da.
Easily.
And I know that he took the opposite approach. He kind of laughed it off and shrugged it off, like, oh, hey, we all have our moment, where we mess something up. And I know you've told that story here before as well. So like the thing with Hulk, obviously, you can make the case for the biggest store in the history of the business. And again, without him, it doesn't exist, at least at the level that it is. Because wrestling was healthy at the time. It was healthy. There was all the territories, but it wasn't WrestleMania 3.
It's crazy, man. After my infamous moment, the one thing I remember, I know we got to take a quick break here. The one thing that I remember the most out of that whole thing is catering the next day, the next week, and Macho Man Savage. And what he said, I was like, "You gotta be kidding me!" To make light of the situation from the old schoolers, you know what I mean? The true legends of the game back then, guys that I looked up to so much. Man, it definitely made me feel a certain way. So, like I say, I thank Hulk Hogan and rest in peace, Hulk Hogan, and my condolences go out to his family, his daughter, his son, his wife, his ex-wife, all of his family and friends. He's going to be missed by a lot of people. Stick around, guys. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
Fellas, let's talk about confidence. The kind of confidence that counts when it's time to step up and deliver. And that's where BlueChew comes in. BlueChew is the original brand offering chewable tablets designed to help men achieve stronger, harder, and longer-lasting erections. We're talking about getting in the game and staying in it.
And you know what they say, man. If you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. And with BlueChew, you can take these chewables anytime, day or night. So you're always good to go when the opportunity strikes. And the best part, the entire process is done online. No doctor's visits, no awkward conversations, no waiting in line at a pharmacy.
Ooh, yeah. And BlueChew is putting their money where their mouth is, offering you a whole month for free. It's simple. You sign up at BlueChew.com and consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once approved, you'll receive your prescription delivered discreetly right to your door, made in the USA and ready to go when you are.
Now, Brad, let's get real. Does it work? Man, they'll mistake you for a soldier at full salute. You'll be pitching a tent like a true Eagle Scout, man. BlueChew won't stop until every man is bricked up like a brick house. That's the mission, dog.
And listen, confidence is key, especially when you're all bricked up. There's nothing sexier than a man who's ready to go. And at BlueChew.com, they can help bring that energy when it matters most. Don't miss out on what could be the best night of your life. Make life easier by getting harder. Discover your options at BlueChew.com, and we've got a deal just for our listeners. Try your first month absolutely free. Visit BlueChew.com, use the promo code Booker, and there's more details and important safety information. And as always, we thank BlueChew for sponsoring the Hall of Fame podcast.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, yeah, baby. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame. You ready to do this thing, man? What's going on in the news, man? I know we got SummerSlam coming up here over the weekend. We got a big show.
Yes.
On ESPN 12 Central, right? 12 Central to 3.
Yeah, 12 to 3 on ESPN National Radio. SummerSlam, countdown to SummerSlam with the
Don't
Hall
miss
of Fame.
out.
Yeah, special guests going to be in the building. We already know special people are going to be in the building. Last year, I remember we had Kurt Angle call in, and I remember Kurt called in to talk about SummerSlam, and I don't know if you remember this. He didn't even watch SummerSlam. You remember that?
It was late. It was late too. You know what I mean? And he was like, "We barely got him on." I remember that like crazy. Like it was.
And you're like, "What'd you think of the show?" Well, I didn't watch it. Kurt's a legend, man.
Something happened. You know what I mean?
He said something. He was stuck in the hotel, or I can't remember what it was because he was in the city.
Yeah, I remember that, man. Yeah.
But that's going to be going down. And the next Saturday, on August the 9th, I do believe we're going to be having Summer of Champions 11. Special guest announced over the weekend, Jada Parker. Hey, Miss Parker is going to be in the building.
Baby. Right now, I'm going to tell you right now. The whole floor is all sold out already.
Guess
whole
what?
floor.
I bought a
The
lot
whole,
of those tickets.
the whole floor. The whole floor. The floor. I mean, front row. Forget about that. The whole floor is sold out already, and hopefully we're going to be having a little bit of construction work going in play in there, where we're going to be adding perhaps an extra maybe 50 seats. Boom, maybe we'll get a extra ticket blast late here before the show. So man, I can't wait, man. Jada Parker, thanks for the house, baby. Thanks for the house.
Also, including Jada Parker, which is definitely going to be a ticket mover. We're going to have a Samoan street fight between Zilla Fatu and Ryan Davidson, a hair versus hair match between Danny Limelight and Will All Day. Loser has their head shaved by the barber of the gods, our own reality wrestling barber. They'll be shaved at ringside. And there's a few other big announcements that I don't know if we can say just yet, but I know House Money at Glory 5 really put it on Chandler Hopkins, and I'm sure he's going to want a shot at that Glory Championship at Summer of Champions. So Ivory Robin is making sure that is done.
Yeah, a lot of matches being made here late in the 11th hour. I love it, man. I love it. Oh yes. Like I say, guys, if you haven't checked out the Walker, Texas Lawyer Arena, 9300 M&F Lowry Expressway, you need to check it out. You need to do it. If you haven't checked out Road Glory, if you haven't checked out Road Platinum, do it. Do it now. I'd do it for you. You can check it out at the YouTube channel, Reality Wrestling /YouTube. Be a part of the 864,000 subscribers. We're trying to get to 1 million, guys. We need your help. We really do.
We're getting there one subscriber at a time, and we really do appreciate everybody out there. And so yeah, tune in with us this weekend to talk about SummerSlam. I'm sure we're going to be talking about it a little bit here. We obviously were just talking about the passing of one of the great legends in the history of professional wrestling, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, who, Hulk, I don't know, Book, is there a singular match or moment that comes to your mind when you think of Hulk? Because for me, there are a few. Some of them are in his WCW run. But they're like the matches that I think of are him and Andre, obviously at WrestleMania 3, the Saturday Night's Main Event rematch that you talked about, the plastic surgery. Him and Warrior at WrestleMania 6, I believe that was. But to me, like the ultimate match, so Blockbuster. I remember always going to Blockbuster. There was one over by my house on a street called Scarsdale. And I remember going to that Blockbuster, and they had a special interest section, which where they used to put the wrestling videos, and they had every WrestleMania. And I remember where I'd go and I'd rent the VHS tape and bring it back to the house, and I'd watch. And I watched the WrestleManias in sequential order. And when I got to WrestleMania 5, and I saw that who I believe is probably the greatest professional wrestler of all time, he's on my Rushmore, maybe the number one spot, the Macho Man Randy Savage, taking on Hulk Hogan in the main event for the title, the mega powers colliding, brother, at Trump Plaza. I remember thinking, there's never going to be a match that's any bigger than that. And then Hogan topped it again with The Rock at WrestleMania 18 in one of the great matches in history, not for wrestling, but for wrestling. And so many great ones in WCW. I think of him and Bill Goldberg. I think of the match with Rodman and Karl Malone. I think of him and Jay Leno, actually, too. Tying it up, the first match Giant. I think of him in Flair back when he first came in the red and yellow. I mean, there's so many matches.
I'm just realizing, how much younger you are than I am. Because of course, I remember those moments. But you hear me talk about how like big guys in the business today, like a Omaz, like a just most of it, like a Braun Strowman, the big guys that are really, really like larger than life, like when you really meet them and stuff like that. And how hard it is to work those guys into a program these days, just because it's not that many giants out there. It's almost like the dinosaur days, man. You know what I mean? They're steep these days as far as the giants go. But what I remember with Hogan was all the all the wars, all the the talent that Hogan had to actually go out there and enhance him throughout that whole Hulkamania run. You know what I mean? I'm talking about guys like, Paul Orndorff. You talk about, Savage. You talk about, Hercules
Yeah.
Hernandez.
King
Guys like
Kong Bundy.
Bundy. I mean,
Yeah.
there was so many Earthquake. It was so many guys that Hogan had in that locker room. It's gonna be you. This we gonna go to run. Okay, we gonna go to run. Okay, we go. It was a smorgasbord for Hogan to actually really get over from a big time. My God, man! That's what I remember. All of the Saturday night's main events where Hogan had a different opponent every time. So that's what I remember about the Hulkamania run more than anything.
And who could forget, Thunder Lips, man. Thunder Lips and Rocky 3. I mean, and that's my favorite Rocky movie. And obviously Hogan has a big scene in that, and Sylvester Stallone inducted him into the Hall of Fame when he went in 05. But you are right. Hulk made wrestling so hot for the WWF at the time that, like today, or I know they're scaling back on house shows, but for a long time they would have like A and B towns, right? Like they'd have the A show going, maybe Raw has the TV, and the same night they're running a house show, in Des Moines or whatever, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
At one time, the business was so hot during those Hogan years, those peak Hulkamania years, they were running A, B, C, and D shows all on the same night. All on the same night. They had 4 shows going. The schedule was crazy just because of how much Hogan was over.
So glad I wasn't. So glad. I mean, those 2-a-days, I even hear, I don't know how I missed those, you know what I mean? The 2-a-days.
Oh, yeah. Twice on Saturday, twice on Sunday.
I was never a part of that. I never did
Right.
that, you know what I mean? But I can only imagine, what the guys had to go through as far as being on the road, countless amount of time, days away from the family. Man, it had to be so freaking hard. But those guys loved it. They really did. You hear the interviews and, you hear someone like Mick Foley and they say they'll do it all over again. You know what I mean? And it's crazy to hear that, you know what I mean? But that's the nature of the beast in this business. With a lot of those guys, me personally, if they just would have given me the money, I would have been happy.
No bumps, all money.
No bumps, no championships, just cash. I would have been like, all right, I can do that. You know what I mean? I'm serious, man. But the love of the game, bro. Love of the game is amazing.
You mentioned Mick said he would do it all over again. I remember hearing an interview with Hogan where he said, if I could do it all over again, I wouldn't use the leg drop as the finish.
Yeah.
Because, he had so many back surgeries in his life, and it's because, he's 300 pounds, maybe a shoot 280, 285, somewhere around there. And he's dropping that leg every night, and it compressed his spinal cord over time. And when that's your finish, that's what people want to see, obviously. And he said he would have changed it.
I can't even imagine that. You know what I
Not
mean?
doing the boot and the leg drop.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I had the bookend and the scissor kick. You know what I mean? The bookend, jump, sucker.
Yeah, can you imagine being because Hogan wrestled into his 50s? Can you imagine being in your early 50s and still having to drop the leg?
I can't even imagine. I really can't. It's like me doing that Harlem hangover throughout my whole career.
Oh, man.
People always talk about, man, wasn't that Harlem? Wasn't that tough on you? I can count 5 times, man. Oh, literally on one hand, how many times I did the Harlem hangover. It was smoke and mirrors, man. It wasn't real. It was the Matrix. Hey, man, you're in the Hall of Fame. Stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute. Hey, this is Booker T, 6-time world champ, 2-time Hall of Fame. I got something for you guys, man. Look, when I was a kid, man, cereal was my jam. But now, since I'm a grown man, I'm looking for something that gives me more than just a sugar rush and carbs, man. That's when I found Magic Spoon. Look, it's a cereal that gives you the taste of your childhood favorites, but without sugar and packed with tons of protein.
And if you're already a fan of Magic Spoon, then you need to listen up to this because I've got some big news. Magic Spoon has taken that amazing cereal that we all love and turned it into high-protein treats. These new treats are light, they're crispy, and they become my go-to snack, especially before or even after the gym.
Yeah, man, every serving of Magic Spoon cereal has 13 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, and only 4 grams of net carb. That fruity and cocoa flavor are the classic ones, but there's a whole lot more to try, man.
And those new treats, they've got 12 grams of protein and come in flavors like marshmallow and chocolatey peanut butter. Perfect when you're on the go or you need a quick snack to fuel up before that workout.
Yeah, man, I keep a box in my gym bag, but it's a great late night snack as well. Those treats have that crispy texture, great taste, and the macros that make you feel good about eating them.
So Magic Spoon's bringing back those nostalgic flavors, but without all the stuff that we don't want. So if you want to try it for yourself and get $5 off your next order, go to magicspoon.com/HOF. That's magicspoon.com/HOF. Or you can even find it on Amazon or in your nearest grocery store.
That's magicspoon.com/HOF for $5 off. Magic Spoon, hold on to the dream. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, man. Just talking, just chopping it up, man. Just chopping it up. We lost Hulk Hogan on Tuesday, July 24th, 2025. And what a shock, man. 71 years old. 71 years old. It seemed like you would still have a lot of years left. But when God called you, hey, man, I tell you, it makes me reflect on my mortality every time something like this happens. Yeah. Of course, I always think about it, but I've been reflecting on my mortality since I was about 25. I swear to God. It's always been something that I'm like in the back of my head, always thinking about, man, how much time do we have left on this life? But I've learned, man, I've learned that there's nothing you can do about that. You just try to have fun every day, laugh every day. That's something I recommend. Laugh every day, and if you got any cash, spend it. You know what I'm saying? I'm serious because I tell my kids all the time it won't be no cash left. When daddy's gone, but you'll have some assets. You'll be able to sell some stuff. You know what I mean? Or you'll be able to keep it, whatever you want to do. You know what I mean? But don't go looking for the safe. If you find it, it's gonna be empty. Because I'm spending every dime. You know what I mean? Every dime.
Yeah, man. Hey, you got to live it up to the fullest. You really don't know when that proverbial bump card will finally get punched, and you get called home, and your time is up. So you got to live it to the fullest. It definitely has been a shock. I mean, also, you know what? I got to say this: Hogan passes away, and we also had another WWE Hall of Famer pass away in the same week. Ozzy Osbourne, a member of the Celebrity Wing. Ozzy was a little bit older. I think he was in his late 70s, if I'm correct, maybe like 78, 76, 78, somewhere around there. Played his final show 2 weeks before he passed away.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, played his final show, and with Ozzy, and I mean this respectfully. When you hear Ozzy got to 76, you go, dang, Ozzy got to 76? Like, that's a pretty good run for him, because he had some hard times. He definitely he said one time Sharon checked him into the Betty Ford clinic so he could learn how to be a proper drinker. he was drinking 4/5 a day.
Wow.
At one point. So
did you see in the same week Rowdy Hogan passed away?
The Fan, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's very strange.
Strange.
And just a couple months ago, Rick Derringer, who performed Real American, passed away.
Wow.
So all kind of in the same thing. And we have to give it up for Malcolm Jamal Warner, who played Theo Huxtable on the Cosby Show and did so many things else. Died in a drowning accident, and I mean that's just weird. On vacation.
It's amazing, man. God bless, man. Like I say, you better kiss the ones you love on a daily basis, because you just never know. You just never know, seriously. Because I'm sure Malcolm Jamal Warner out swimming with his daughter, thinking that's the last thing that would happen, to get caught by a rip current and have a choice to make. It's not even really a choice. You know what I mean? I gotta save my daughter here. I gotta get out of here somehow, and lose his life in the process. We lost Chad Beast the same way, out in the ocean, swimming with his son, and had to do the same thing, save his son. and lose his life in the process. So life is so precious. It truly is. And to the young people out there, that's you might even like you, Brad, but I don't have to think. I don't have to think about you. I don't have to worry about you. But a lot of people out there think that they're going to be young forever, man. It goes fast, man. Because I swear, my wife and I, we was just looking at the death of WCW, right? Just yesterday. We were just watching it last night, and we go, man, baby, it seems just like yesterday. And she goes, yeah, man, it really does, But what's so cool about her and I, we're still together, man, and we've built like so much. We got, kids, about to turn 15 years old. We've built a company together. We've been connected at the hip for all of these years. 20 years, man. 20 years we've been married. So for us, it's special. But still, it seemed like just yesterday we were, in this hotel looking down at everybody, just act a fool in the bar, and I look at Charmel and I go, baby, we living it up. And she goes, what are you talking about? We're in a hotel, getting ready to get on a bus or a flight the next morning. But it was the best thing in the world, man. It really was. Yeah.
It's interesting you say that, and then I have a couple follow-ups for you. But on Saturday at the Glory 5 show, there was a point where, obviously we're always running around on those days, but I was sitting and I was talking to your kids, Kendrick and Kennedy. We were just talking, and it was like a regular conversation. You know what I mean? And in the middle of it, I go, wait a minute. Like in my head, I go, I knew you when you were like a year and a half and you couldn't even say any words. And here the three of us are having like a regular conversation, like it's normal. And it was like one of those things of, whoa, man, time has really flown by.
It really has, man. It really has. When you think about it like that, when you really put it into context from that perspective, you go, wow. You got to really start thinking about every precious second. If you don't, I know I've been thinking that way for many, many years, ever since they released me from TDC. I've been thinking that way every time I breathe that fresh air. I was like, oh God, it feels good. You know what I mean? So I recommend that to everyone, to feel that way and try to think that way, because, like I say, time is precious and life is precious and it goes fast.
Did you ever? Here was my follow-up. Did you ever have any interactions with Malcolm Jamal Warner or Ozzy at any of the shows? I don't know if Malcolm was a fan, and I know Ozzy was at a lot of them over the years, but I don't know if you ever had a run-in with him.
No interactions with neither one of those guys. No, I would remember something like that. No, never did.
Yeah. I mean, for me, Ozzy, was on the Osbournes, but he was kind of a pro wrestling guy too. Ozzy, I mean, all those metal guys and those rock stars, and the hip hop guys now, they all seem to get it, because it is so performance and theatrics. And Ozzy, up there with Alice Cooper and Gene Simmons when it comes to the theatrics of the heavy metal and the rock and roll. But a WWE Hall of Famer in his own right, and I love Ozzy Osbourne, man. I love some of their early songs. War Pigs is one of the greatest songs ever made. So rest in peace to him. And then for, like I said, the back door, and then it's Hogan. I remember, Book, the day we had Hogan on the show, because I had severe food poisoning. I don't think I told you that. I was so sick that day. And I was pulling up to the station and I'm like sweating, because I'm just not feeling well. And I was like, man, I hope I can get through this interview, because it's Hogan. And then I remember we get in the studio. We were in the studio at the time. This is before the pandemic. And he was starting the show off with us. And it starts with the, I am a real American.
Yeah.
And I think I had like an out-of-body experience, because I forgot I was sick. It was Hogan was about to be on the show. And for people who never heard that, I mean, it was a very honest conversation. We had Hogan on for almost an hour, I think, and we talked about obviously his career and y'all's run-ins together, but also the controversy that he went through, and trying to kind of mitigate that for himself and where he was at then. And we had a really nuanced, honest conversation. It's actually one of the better Hogan interviews, and I say that objectively and not subjectively, because he was very honest and calm, and he wasn't trying to. It was like you were talking to Terry and not Hulk in those moments. you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, me personally, I just want to, delve inside and, see exactly, what the dude was all about. Because there again, I never got a chance to really run down the road with Hogan, and I never got a chance to work him. You know, it's the one thing. Hogan and I, we never got a chance to get. You go back to the Bash the Beach. And then
Right.
everything that happened, and it seemed like it would have been a perfect setup for Hogan and I to actually work. You know what I mean? To actually get in and do something really, really big. I mean, I'm just saying, but never coming to fruition. Looking back on that now, saying, man, that really could have been something big.
Can you imagine if I'd never even considered that, but can you imagine after the Bash at the Beach controversy stuff, y'all have the whatever the next pay-per-view was going to be after Bash, and it's Hulk Hogan versus Booker T, for the undisputed title. Who's the real world champion? He's got his belt, you got your
Yeah,
belt.
yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Any title,
Ah,
it could have been some really, really good stuff. If everybody could have
wow.
come together and really, really, thought about making some money and perhaps putting the company back on track. It's a lot of speculation. I mean, it's a lot of ifs and what ifs as far as that situation go, man. But man, what if? What if? We got to take a break, man. Stick around. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute. Hey, y'all. Booker T here alongside with my main man, Brad Gilmore. And today we're talking about something that could really change the game when it comes to how you get paid.
That's right, Booker, because let's face it, life doesn't just happen every 2 weeks. So why wait for a payday? With EarnIn, the money you've earned already can be in your hands today.
EarnIn is this incredible app that lets you access your pay as you earn it. We're talking about up to $100 per day and up to $750 each pay period.
All you got to do is download the EarnIn app, verify your paycheck, and boom, you can access up to $100 a day as you work. And the cool part, you just leave an optional tip, and any money you access plus the tip gets repaid when your next paycheck rolls in.
Brad, I'm always talking about staying ready so you don't have to get ready, right? Imagine having that extra cash for that surprise date night, or maybe when you have to take the furry little friend to the vet unexpectedly.
Absolutely, Booker. Or even those times when you need to grab a last minute gift, or maybe you're a little short on rent, or hey, even you might want to pick up some new gear for yourself or your kids or your lady.
Folks, make EarnIn part of your financial playbook. Join over 3.5 million customers who are finding financial stability and peace of mind thanks to EarnIn.
So don't wait around for a payday. Get your money when you need it and take control of your finances. Download EarnIn today and experience what it's like to access pay on your terms.
Get started with EarnIn now and join the millions who are getting their pay their way. It's time to earn in, not just earn. Check it out, man. Boom. Welcome back inside the Hall of Fame, y'all. Oh, yes, man. Oh, yes. Do we want to shift gears or anything? What you got? What you got?
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely talk about SummerSlam coming up because there's definitely a few things that we want to talk about in there. If you have any super chats, we're going to get them in the next segment. So go ahead. If you have thoughts about Hogan, you have thoughts about SummerSlam, anything going on in the news, go ahead and send those over. SummerSlam is important this year, Book, for a few reasons. This is the first ever 2-night SummerSlam. This card is stacked. I think this card even rivals the WrestleMania card from earlier this year. The women are coming off of what's been the best WWE PLE all year long with Evolution 2.
Oh, yes, man. Oh,
and,
yes.
And now 2-night SummerSlam. We got Jelly Roll stepping in. And I heard that Jelly Roll is a big Booker T fan. I've heard
Booker
that
T
on the street.
Big Booker T fan. Actually, I ran into Jelly Roll, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna give Jelly Roll his props. All right, let me here inside the Hall of Fame. I want to give Jelly Roll his props because he's a dude that's taking this thing very, very serious. People always talk about outside, stars coming into the wrestling world and trying to, take a spot or whatever. But me personally, this is sports entertainment. This is a show. This is about entertaining, the fans. And if Jelly Roll can bring his fan base to the WWE to watch him. That means another, fan going to be watching all of that other talent on the show as well. So those guys going to pick up another fan as well. And but my thing is this: if you take it serious, like Jelly Roll is taking this dude has lost. I don't know. I know he's lost over 100 pounds. And that right there tells me he's motivated. Okay, it's motivated him to get himself in shape. That right there, top rank above all for me. I don't give a damn. I'm serious. Jelly Roll's health is more important to me than any match. But if the match motivates Jelly Roll to get in shape, to do something that perhaps that he has inspired to do since he was a little kid, you know what I mean? And now he's getting a chance to do it just like Buddy, you know what I mean? Just like Buddy and all the rest, all the way back to LT back in the day. You know what I mean? If they can bring something to the table, bring it. You know what I mean? So big ups to you, Jelly Roll, for doing your thing, man. I appreciate you, dog. I really do.
Man, yeah, shout out to Jelly Roll. I'm excited to see what him. Well, here's the thing. It's Jelly Roll, Logan Paul, Randy Orton, and Drew McIntyre, right? I mean, Jelly Roll is going to be okay when he's in there with those guys. You know what I mean? Randy's your tag partner. I mean, come on, man. Drew is on his best run, I think, of his entire career this last year, from WrestleMania 40 till now. He's been incredible.
Oh, yeah.
And Logan, I don't even think people look at Logan as a social media star anymore. I think people look at him as a wrestler. I really do. I really think people go, oh, yeah, he wrestles, right? He's a wrestler. Because he knows this game, man. He does the small things so well, the in and outs, the transitions, and he's smart. He's so smart. Oh, I actually really enjoy watching him work because it's not just flips and flops. It's a lot of character, a lot of small moments there. So those four guys, I feel like they're going to have a great match. Yeah. It's a tag match. And Jelly Roll's going to get a hot tag at SummerSlam, and people are going to go crazy in New York, New Jersey. Cardi B in Sheep's there or something. Cardi B's doing something on the show.
Yeah, man. Now, look, I'm all in. Like I said, I want to see how it play out. I want to see Jelly Roll come in there and drop the bomb. Jelly might go up top. He might go up top. You know what I mean? Jelly might hit somebody with a moonsault off the top rope. All right? I'm just saying. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. This is WWE. All right? So I'm looking forward to Jelly going out there, get his champagne wishes and caviar dreams.
Well, obviously, your first SummerSlam match is very memorable to a lot of people. You versus The Rock for the WCW Championship. I believe your first SummerSlam, you were the main event of SummerSlam, which is something not a lot of people can say. But and you've had a lot of great SummerSlam matches over the years. But one of your students is getting their first SummerSlam experience. That's one half of the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, Roxanne Perez, will be having her first moment in the sun at SummerSlam. If she's listening right now, what words do you send to Roxanne for her first SummerSlam?
I don't think this moment is going to overwhelm her or anything like that because she's been a part of so many big moments. She's made history on so many occasions. I don't have to tell Roxanne Perez, hey, make sure you take it all in. I don't have to tell Roxanne Perez that. But I would say, do it like nobody else can. Do it like only the prodigy can do it. Go out there and shine like brand new $100 bills, y'all. Dollar bill, y'all. Dollar bill, y'all. That's what I would tell Roxanne Perez. Go out there and get that paper, baby. Oh, yes.
Hell yeah. And to me, when we were at Monday Night Raw, shout out to Netflix. They had me out to Raw. Shout out to my guy David over there. But Roxanne was on the show and she worked and she, walked out and she got a great little reaction. Judgment Day is over. She got a great reaction. And I saw her standing there on the turnbuckle, posing with the belt, and drinking in the moment. And I'm not a father and I don't look at myself as a father to Roxanne by any stretch of the imagination. But in a sense of like, I've literally seen her entire career. Like I very well called probably her first televised match ever. And I've known her since she was 15 or 16 years old. So it was a proud moment just to watch. Like,
Yeah.
I felt like I was standing on the turnbuckle. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it felt to me. And it was such a cool experience to see. So to see her now at SummerSlam, and I talked to her, and I was like, man, I can't wait to see you at WrestleMania. You know, because I'm gonna be cheering, man, from the stands to see Roxanne at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And but like for you, did those like events? I know WrestleMania, obviously, but like the other events in WCW or in WWE, the fans looked at like, oh man, I can't believe Starrcade's coming up, or Bash at the Beach is going to be here, Great American Bash. Oh man, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble. Did you ever look at any of those shows and go like, oh wow, cool, I get to work a Rumble or a SummerSlam or a Bash at the Beach? Or was this just like, oh, this is the pay-per-view, we got another one next month, I got to get to that one?
You know, I felt like that. My first pay-per-view, War Games.
Oh yeah.
That was it. That after that, it was just work. I never really, thought about it. It wasn't a big moment. It was another match, another performance. I always wanted to steal the show. I always wanted to be the best. I always wanted to be the best in the ring every single night. So for me, I was challenging myself more than I was challenging anybody. I talked to my students about that, about being able to go out and try your best not to have a hiccup, and can't wait to get to the other side to hear that 1, 2, 3, to have that sigh of relief, So, nah, man, for me, it was all work. It's still all work, still trying to perfect the game. Yeah, seriously.
Still trying to get it done. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy though to think that your first pay-per-view was War Games ever. So your debut on pay-per-view was in the main event, right?
In the main event, yeah.
In the main event. And then your WWE official pay-per-view debut, it was the Invasion pay-per-view. And you were in the main event of that one too.
Yeah, I was in the main event.
Wait a minute. I'd have never thought of this before. Is there any other wrestler in history that in their pay-per-view debuts in WWE and WCW were in the main event? I do not think so. You have to be the first one.
I don't know.
You have to be the only one.
I never thought about that.
I've never thought about it to just this moment.
Never thought about it. Yeah, but it's kind of crazy. Yeah. I've had a lot of great moments, man. I mean, I always say, man, if I could, see a slideshow of like all of these moments back to back, man, it would be crazy. I'm talking about starting from the Global Wrestling Federation in Dallas, Texas, man, in the Sportatorium, just to be able to see all the stuff that went on in that building leading up to WCW. And oh man, some of the crazy moments that we've had, and it'd be nuts, but had a hell of a career, really have.
That's so crazy. I've just never thought about your debut in WCW pay-per-view, your main event, WWF, you're in the main event, and then like the main event of Invasion was that big, like I think it was like a 10-man tag.
Yeah.
But then the next pay-per-view is SummerSlam, where it's you versus The Rock for the title. That's a crazy run, man.
Bro, I mean, I never really sit back and think about it, until we talk about it like this.
Yeah.
And, and I think that's a good thing. I really do. I think
Sure.
it's a good thing, not getting caught up in my own press clippings or anything like that. But I tell you, man, I've had such a freaking awesome career, and it seemed like I've had maybe 2 or 3 careers at the same time, you know what I mean? Because doing the global thing, with my brother, and then doing it, as a tag with my brother, and then doing a singles with my brother, company shutting down, going over, having a run by myself, boom, having a run, me and Charmel all over again, leave, go to TNA, leave TNA, go back to WWE. I mean, it's just been like the craziest, nuttiest roller coaster of life one could ever imagine. But it's been great. Stick around, guys. You're in the Hall of Fame. We'll be back in a minute.
Harlem Heat looking for everybody. You can't run, you can't hide. Me and my brother can't get over around here, man.
Booker T and Stevie Ray never lack for confidence.
You either roll with us or we gonna roll right over you. Straight to the top of WCW.
Stevie Ray, big strong man, and you got Booker T, phenomenal athlete.
Harlem Heat showing that power and size dominates.
We we will go through each and every sucker to get the World Tag Team titles.
Many consider them the dominant tag team of the 90s.
7 times.
8th time.
9 times tag team champions.
For the 10th time,
Stevie Ray and Booker T are family. You want to fight him? Sucker, you got to fight me too. Anybody, anywhere, anytime, get some. You better be picking up bad enough. Take some. Now can you take it? Sucker!
Boom. Bad, man. Bad. But I'm gonna tell you, man, Harlem Heat. One of the top. I was listening to Devon Dudley, and I think he had us ranked like number 12 or something on his tag team list, number 12, and I think the Dudleys were somewhere around number 3. Okay, you know, I don't know what this guy been smoking. You know what I mean? I don't know if he's still suffering from the heart attack or the stroke. You know what I mean? You know, sometimes that messes with the oxygen to the brain. You know, you stop thinking straight. You know, but Harlem Heat is definitely a top 5 tag team all time. No doubt. No doubt. You know, without any shadow of a doubt. You know, so to be inducted into the Hall of Fame and WWE Hall of Fame, and we didn't even get a chance to, you know, get in the ring just once, tells you a whole lot about Harlem Heat. Really does. Bad, man. That package right there, hot, man, hot.
So I will tell you this. I just asked ChatGPT who are the top 10 tag teams in pro wrestling history. Do you want to hear their list?
Let me hear.
They didn't do it in order.
Okay.
It's not in order. These are just the 10 teams that were named. The Road Warriors, the Hardy Boys, the Hart Foundation, the New Day, the Steiner Brothers, Edge and Christian, Harlem Heat, the Rock and Roll Express, the Young Bucks, and the Dudley Boys.
The Dudleys made it?
The Dudleys were on the list.
Wow.
It says honorable mentions, the Usos, the British Bulldogs, Demolition, the Midnight Express, and the Mega Powers.
All right.
That's what ChatGPT says.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's cool.
So they make it.
All right.
They make it.
They was the last team to make it, though, right?
What they were all the last named.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. You know,
They were last named. Yeah.
I'm not. Look here. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
And they're gonna have another match soon, so you know they can add to that legacy.
Look, man. Look here. Let's not. You know, we don't know if they're gonna have a match or not. We've heard that there might be a match. The Dudleys may be having a match with the Hardys, right?
Yes.
All right. Until it happens,
Until it happens,
we won't
we'll
speak
see.
on it. All right.
We won't speak on it. Got it. Well, we do have some super chats that we can go through, so let's do that. Let's do that first. Let's get to our first one. Oscar Bum says, who would win a triple threat match between Hulk Hogan, Sterling Golden, and the Super Destroyer? The special guest referee would be Terry Bollea. Of course, those are his gimmick names. At one point, I think he came in as Sterling Golden. Maybe it was the Super Destroyer. Before landing on Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, I got Hogan. You know what I mean?
Hogan over everybody.
Hogan over everybody. Yeah.
Let me ask you this: were you a Hulk Hogan guy or a Hollywood Hogan guy? Probably a Hulk Hogan.
Oh, me?
Yeah, you.
I was a Hulk Hogan guy. I mean,
Yeah.
but I like Hollywood Hogan too.
Hollywood Hogan was
I thought the Hollywood Hogan gimmick was. I thought it was awesome. You know what I mean? I thought it was
great gimmick.
Yeah, especially with
Great
the Hendrix, you know, backdrop. Yeah.
Oh man, Voodoo Child. When that thing would play, you know, I do remember him coming back, you know, as part of the NWO. And he was at No Way Out 2002, I think. And Hogan, Nash, and Hall all came back and they did a promo in the beginning of the show. And Nash spoke, Scott Hall spoke. And then when it got to Hogan, even though he was supposed to be a heel and the fans were supposed to boo him, they were so excited that Hogan was back in WWE. And then we all know what happens at WrestleMania 18, where he goes out there as the heel. And then he and Rock have to call it on the fly because he was cheered so loudly. What a way that would have been to go out. You know, because I looked it up. I was like, what is Hogan's last match? Because, you know, we just saw Goldberg's. And I was trying to think of what was the last match Hogan had, and I was like, was it something? Was it against Randy at
It was Sting.
SummerSlam?
Sting,
It was
wasn't it?
against Sting. Yeah, he wrestled Sting in TNA.
Yeah.
I haven't gone back to watch it yet, but it was in 2011.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's been 14 years, I think, since Hogan officially retired and had his last match. I'd be interested to see how he and Sting did at that time in TNA, but it'd been great for him to go out at WrestleMania 18. Actually, at WrestleMania 19, he and Vince had a great match. They had a great street fight.
How you gonna tell a man when it's time to go out?
Yeah, that's true. What can you do?
It's hard to do.
What can you do?
Can't do
Our next one here is from Oscar Bum again. Some wrestlers have said that Hogan was a coward backstage and was scared to fight, but I never believed that. Got any stories of him holding ground? I don't know of any Hogan fight stories.
I never seen Hogan get into a verbal beef with anyone. He may have. I never seen him get into a fight with anyone. Ain't nobody looking for a fight in the locker room. It happens, of course, but I don't know about this coward thing. I'm not going to put a stamp on that. I think you put a man in a position where you got to fight, he's going to fight. And I think if we would have, I think we would have heard a lot of stories about it. If Hogan got beat up, in the locker rooms. Yes, I never heard any stories like that.
No, I didn't either. No, I definitely heard that Hogan, obviously would always look out for Hogan, and I mean.
He was a politicker, man. He politicked big time, man. He was one of the guys who invented politics.
Yeah.
But I tell people all the time, man, this is a very, very selfish business. It really is. And if you're not thinking that way in this business, you're not thinking properly. I mean,
especially at that time.
Back then, it's a dog-eat-dog world, and it still is. It's a dog-eat-dog world. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, so I've always heard that about Hogan, and again too, like Hogan in later years, definitely would kind of. I would laugh at seeing some of the stuff because sometimes it was so exaggerated, right? And there were the Hoganisms and things of that nature. But
look, when you pull creative control, you're politic, right?
Oh no, yeah, no. I'm just talking about. I remember Hogan saying that Elvis used to come see him wrestle in Memphis, but Elvis was already passed away by that time.
Yeah.
But sometimes. But here's the thing: the wrestlers back then, everything was over the top and big. They're like fishing stories, and sometimes you tell those many times
it's called embellishment.
Right.
Yeah, that's what it's called. It's called.
Oh, brother, you should have heard the pop. Elvis was sitting there front row, brother.
Sold out, brother.
Roll out main event. And you know what? I will say one of the things that got me and made me laugh a little bit was somebody said, rest in peace to Hulk Hogan and his family and his 8 billion brothers. Because definitely, I think that brother also, because Hogan said it so much, it became such a piece of the wrestling parlance where you say brother sometimes just to be funny. Brother.
You know what? That's why I really don't understand why Vince Russo and Hulk Hogan really didn't embrace. It seemed like they was brothers.
Bro and brother. Bro.
Can you imagine these two having a conversation?
Have you ever seen the movie Donnie Brasco?
Yeah.
Yep. So there's a scene where Johnny Depp, who's undercover in the mafia, he's plays Donnie Brasco. He's laying there, and the two FBI guys are asking him a bunch of questions like, "Oh, what does this do? What does this do?" And then I think it's Paul Giamatti's character was like, "Hey, what does forget about it mean?" Right? And he sits there and he says, "Well, sometimes somebody comes up to you and they piss you off. You say, man, forget about it. Sometimes somebody says something that's crazy. You go forget about it. And sometimes it just means forget about it, right?" And that's what I think that brother means in wrestling. Sometimes it's like, oh, brother or brother. Brother.
I think that was you and I when the lady got off the flight with her kid, and she tells the kid, "Not today, brother."
Not today, brother.
You remember that? You remember that? So it could mean anything. She's telling her kid that. Not today, brother.
That was one of the funniest things I can never remember seeing. For people who don't know, let me just set the stage, and then we'll go to the next super chat. But we were on this flight to Vegas, and it kept getting delayed and canceled. And the flight before us, they boarded the whole plane. The whole plane got boarded, and then it got canceled. So they were deplaning. And this kid says, "Are we ever gonna go home?" And then that lady goes, "Not today, brother." It was so funny.
You couldn't do nothing but laugh.
And I think you and I were the only ones who heard it.
We were the only one that caught it, probably. So because it's a wrestling term. It's like, what the hell? Not today, brother.
Not today, brother. Oh, that was so funny. Oh my goodness. We'll move on to our next super chat here. This comes from D'Angelo Brown. What are your guys' advice of Chelsea Green taking a break from social media because of the internet backlash of Hogan? I saw something about this. I didn't look too much into it, but yeah, I think that she was praising his contributions to the business, and people on social media began to attack her because of, again, the controversial nature of Hulk Hogan's back nine. The back half of his career was marred in controversy, and people gave her, I think, a lot of flack for it. Now she's off social media, which is a shame because she's phenomenal on social media. But this would be my advice. I saw this recently, and then I'll throw it to you. There's this parable about this guy who goes on stage and he speaks his mind, his truth. And he's not trying to be controversial, but the crowd starts to boo him. And he lets them keep booing him. And then he gets on the microphone and he says, "Your boos do not affect me because I have seen who you people cheer for." Right. And that's like the thing of like, don't take advice from somebody you don't want to get advice from. Right. And so if people are coming after Chelsea Green, who's she's a Canadian, you have to like her. Anybody who's Canadian is a sweetheart. For defending Hogan. I don't know if she was defending Hogan. She was just talking about his contributions to the business like we're doing here.
Yeah.
I think that's awful
In other words, people just want to cancel her.
Yeah.
They want to silence her. They don't want her to speak the way she feel, which is saying something that's true. The guy's had a hell of a career, and his contributions to the business are something that cannot be denied, no matter how people want to look at it. And you know what I say to Chelsea Green? I say, don't let someone dictate you being on social media or not. And if they coming at you on social media, do what I do, to block their ass. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit and conversate with them or anything like that. I'm not going to try to convince them of my feelings of what I've gone through on a daily. Because the thing is, none of those people have walked in my shoes. None of them. You know what I mean? None of those people have walked in Chelsea Green's shoes and seen what she's had to go through to get what she is in this business. She's doing a hell of a job.
Right.
And the thing is, in today's world, it's just like me talking about it today. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to hide my head in the sand because people have an opinion about my opinion.
Yeah.
It's just
bottom line.
It's not going to happen.
And again, I think that in the especially in wrestling circles, the last several years of Hogan, like I said, was marred by controversy. There's no way around that. From the Gawker tape and the remarks, and even the him kind of dipping his toe into the political sphere, it was polarizing. And you can either you can feel however you want to feel about Hogan and about what his legacy is. I mean, that's up to your opinion. And I'm not going to sit here and tell anybody they're right or wrong for how they feel about something. But what I can say is two things can be true at once. And you can acknowledge that Hogan probably made the majority of us a fan and helped the business get to the point that it was at and continues to be at, a multi-billion-dollar industry off of, a large part off of his back. Him and Vince. And Vince has been marred in controversy as well. But I'm still going to say Vince McMahon's a hell of a promoter and made what we love. I mean, two things can be true at the same time. Yes. R. Kelly did some really terrible things and he made some great music, right? I mean, two things can be true at the same time. I don't understand we were talking about this earlier. O.J. Simpson was a great football player, and he also was accused of doing some foul things.
And
right?
and the thing is, he probably was guilty, but you can't erase what he did on the field. And I know people want today living in this council culture to where it's cool to band together and try to ruin someone for speaking their mind. But think about it very very carefully, because you could be that person that they're trying to counsel one day too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to tell someone what to say or anything like that. I'm not going to begrudge someone, by the way they feel or anything like that. I got Republican friends.
Yeah.
Okay. And if I lived by the way people act, sometime with this Democrat and Republican thing, I lose my damn mind. I'm like, man, I'm not gonna, lose a friend over the way, our political views are. I mean, that's just a way of life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the only way I can look at it. But yeah, I got people that listen to country too. I got friends that listen to country.
Yeah, I'm one of them. What are you talking about? That's a country record right there. That's Johnny Cash right over my. Said it to me like that was a fact. Like, hey, I'm gonna let you in on something you didn't know.
I'm just saying.
Man. Yeah. So I mean, again, I hate that Chelsea's off social for now, but
she should get right back on. That's what I was saying.
She's awesome. Chelsea's awesome. And
media. Don't let anybody don't let nobody run you away from the table. You know what I mean? Don't let anybody bully you. I'm not gonna have that.
No. And to me, look, like I said, two things can be true at once. And if you don't have a good feeling about Hogan, you don't have a good feeling. To me, I had one interaction with Hogan, and that was on the air. And we actually talked about everything, controversy and career. And that's a highlight moment for me as a wrestling fan, to be able to have talked to Hulk Hogan one time in my life.
Well, you got to understand too. A lot of people that feel the way they do, they only know that part of him.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I understand, where they're coming from also, but you got to understand that, it was life well before you was born, and a lot of those pop culture, things that came along, changed our life and created and molded our life. And that was one of them. Hulk Hogan was a big part of so many childhoods, and people and a lot of the people that came up watching him back then, of my era, they want to look at him a certain way, but they still feel a certain way about how he made us feel when he was coming up.
Yeah. And sometimes like it's hard to separate the two things. And
really
and again,
is.
whoever wants to feel however they want to feel is how they're gonna feel. I know that sounds redundant, but that's just what it is. You can feel however you want to feel. I can acknowledge that the gentleman obviously had some missteps late in life and said some things I'm sure he regrets and wish he didn't say or what have you. But also
maybe he don't regret them.
I was about to say, or maybe on the same respect, maybe he stood by them all. I don't know. I didn't live in Terry Bollea's mind, but from the character of Hulk Hogan, how many kids in the 1980s and 90s said their prayers and took their vitamins because he told them to do so? Right. I mean, he's had just as much a positive influence on people's lives as the inverse would be. So I understand that he's a complicated figure. I understand the last time that we saw him on television, he got booed out of the building. One of the forefathers of wrestling got booed out of the building. That's the last time we're ever going to see Hogan on WWE television. That's the last memory we have of him. And it was much discussed and talked about. But I also believe in when somebody goes, and this is just my perspective on it, when somebody goes, you acknowledge the good things that they did, and you send your love to the family, because that's somebody's dad, that's somebody's uncle, that's somebody's friend, that's somebody's cousin, that's somebody's husband, and that's somebody's grandfather. And that's really, really sad that those people don't have it. My condolences go out to Nick and Brooke. And I think that Brooke had a somewhat of a fractured relationship with her parents in recent years. And your heart goes out to people like that. And Nick, I just lost my father. I know what he's going through. It's tough when you idolize your father, especially when your father was idolized by millions of young people. But that was Nick's dad. That's his father.
Yeah.
And so we're human beings at the end of the day, and nobody's perfect, and we're all gonna have things that we say and put our foot in our mouths about or do something that we're not proud of at times. But I feel like when somebody's laying in the ground or when they're, ashes are laying on that mantle, you remember the way that they made you feel, and however that is, that's how it is, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I agree 100%.
Hefe Pilot says, "What's up, King Book in the boat? I'm still on the way. I had a slight delay, but I will be there August the 14th. I seen a tryout was coming for a bunch of upcoming, but it was for experienced wrestlers. Only the classes for beginners or advanced training. I'm ready." Yeah, I think you have a seminar coming up. Was what he's referring to. You have a
Yeah.
big seminar coming
Yeah,
up. So
big seminar coming up, and we are looking for talent. Reality wrestling right now, we're in a position to where we are looking for experienced guys to come in and really try to earn a spot on Road Glory or Road Platinum, just because man, we said 2025 was going to be a big year for us, but this is turning out to be a monster, baby. So kids, you don't miss out, don't get shut out. You better get to Reality of Wrestling. And we talked about earlier about Roxanne Perez spreading her wings, doing it big. Dollar bill, y'all, dollar bill. It all started right there at Reality of Wrestling, man. RealityWrestling.com if you guys are interested in taking a shot at the business. Go to RealityWrestling.com and give us a call. Seriously.
yeah, a lot of people in 2025 have gotten some big spotlight who've come from reality wrestling. Roxanne Perez, of course, winning a championship. Jacob Fatu winning a championship. Jimmy Uso was Jay Uso was the world heavyweight champion. I saw CM Punk float an idea out there today. I'll get your quick reaction before we finish our super chats. He said next year at the Royal Rumble, they should have a women's Rumble, a men's Rumble, and then a Samoan Rumble. He said you might need more than 30 spots.
Yeah, they can pull it off too.
They could pull it off. They really could.
Yeah.
They really could. Alex Cosentino says, in your eyes, Booker, what is the final legacy of Hulk Hogan going to be?
Oh man, what's Hogan's final legacy going to be? That's a really hard question. That's a really hard question for me. It really is. There again, I know you can't take away, everything that Hogan did for the wrestling business.
Yeah.
But there again, you cannot take away the other side of Terry Bollea as well.
Mm-hmm.
Those two intertwine, and it's hard to, separate the two. It's almost like Pete Rose and his gambling thing, and him
Right.
not being in the Hall of Fame just because of that one thing, cast a shadow so dark on everything that he did on that field. Doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So I think Hulk Hogan is definitely going to be one of those cautionary tales. It's going to go down, to so many people, so many different ways.
Yeah, I think that his legacy is just going to be so individual for people. I think that if you talk about what his legacy is for the professional wrestling industry, we can have that conversation of what Hogan meant. 1,474 days, he was the champion. He won, I think, two-time Hall of Famer, 12 world titles, all those things. You could talk about those things, getting WrestleMania launched, the first 9 WrestleManias main eventing. And then obviously with you got to take the good with the bad. You can't highlight just one thing. And the outside the ring antics and in the last years, those were, the Gawker tape, if you can believe it, where he said the remarks was 10 years ago. That was 10 years ago. In 10 years, people have been having that conversation about Hogan, and it's just it's a hard thing for him to shake. And you know what? Like, not just Hogan. Like, you think of guys like Michael Richards, who played Kramer on Seinfeld. People still are going to talk about that forever, right? When he had his tirade, and it's part of the legacy for better, for worse, fair, unfair.
There's no way you can run away from it. I mean,
No.
you can't talk about one and not talk about and not think about the other. You know what I mean?
It's hard.
It's gonna go both ways, and that's just part of it. You know what I mean? So it's definitely gonna be one of those things to where it's gonna be a dark one of those dark side of the ring tales.
Right. Hey, here's the good stuff that he did, and then here's the weird stuff.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad you're not gonna find me on dark side of the ring. Okay.
I'm glad you're not going to find you on dark side of the ring.
It's not gonna happen. Thank God.
I can't stand those things. I really can't.
I
They bother me.
Yeah.
Let's see. The next one, Alex Cosentino says, have you gotten a chance to watch the clip from Mr. Anderson released on his new show talking about the infamous Red Bull story? His story is hilarious. I have not seen it, but I know what I'm going to do as soon as we get off this show.
Well, let me tell you, the Red Bull stories are all true. All of them.
None of them are exaggerated.
None are exaggerated or anything like that. All the Red Bull stories are 100% true. Because, my thing was I was willing to fight. I was always willing to fight. I didn't care. You know what I mean? If I got beat up, I got beat up. But one thing about it, I was always willing to fight. That's why I didn't get ribbed a whole lot. You know what I mean? Because guys knew if I found out who ribbed me, it was going to be a fight. Okay? No diss to anybody or anything like that. You might beat me up, but I'm going to hit you. All right? You can rest assured that's gonna I'm gonna throw a punch at you, you know what I mean? Whether they connect or not, that's another story. You know what I mean? But those Red Bull stories, man, they were intense. They were very, very intense, man, because I was always in a zone. I was always, literally, like on top of my game, and Red Bull was the one thing that kept me, focused. 2 Red Bull right before my matches, 2 Red Bull. That's what I needed. And I would go out and perform, man, at such a, high pace. It's like nitrous oxide in my system. And when somebody would just be stupid enough to not have common sense, it would really irk me, really so bad. And those were the moments where I tell the people 99%, 100%. You got to be 100% when you're at that stage right there, because you got to be willing to get fired. I was always ready to get fired when somebody stole one of my Red Bull. It was crazy, right?
I like how you say I was ready to get fired. Not willing to be fired. I was ready to be fired.
I was ready because I knew I was going to do something stupid. I knew I was going to do something stupid. I remember one day my Red Bull came up missing, and it was in the cooler, and it was right in the middle of the hallway. It was one of those coolers right in the middle of the hallway, and they had like 2 coolers. And it had ice and water in it. And I was like, man, who took my Red Bull? Who took my Red Bull? Nobody said anything. And I picked the cooler up and I just smashed it right in the middle of the floor. And all the ice and water was just everywhere. And I go, walk through that then. You know what I mean? It was just stupid. I don't know. I was just stupid, man. But I took all the ice and everything and just smashed it right in the middle of the freaking hallway. Yeah.
You ain't right. That's what at the time.
I was not right back then.
Okay, a few more before we get out of here. D'Angelo Brown says, son of Hogan, Nick will be on Raw tonight for more Hulk Hogan tribute. Okay, I'm great. Great. The Nick's getting some, being embraced. Is it true by the fans and WWE, trying to, because I'm sure he's going through it right now. Is it true Drew stuck in the UK and may miss SummerSlam? Is it a work or a shoot? I haven't read that.
I've been hearing something about Drew McIntyre, perhaps missing SummerSlam. I don't know what the issues are or anything like that. I don't know if it's paperwork or anything like that. But I have been. I did read something about that earlier. Yeah, I did. So I don't know. Hopefully Drew will get back. And they were talking about who would replace Drew if he wasn't able to make it back. So that's another question right there. So hopefully he'll be able to get back and be a part of the show. So, and also Nick Hogan getting some love. That's pretty cool, because I'm gonna tell you, man, I didn't get a chance to know my dad. My dad passed away when I was 10 months old, and always had a photo of my dad. I still do. I still have that photo downstairs, and it's my daddy's got that, Dobbs, Fifth Avenue brim on, kicked to the side a little bit, and little beard on, kind of like me right now. And strong, man, strong. You know what I mean? I always drew strength from that photo, man, so I could understand, yourself. I could understand Nick, being in this situation where he is right now, and not having that strength to be able to, fall back on and go to when you need it, man. One thing about this life thing, man, no matter how old you are, you're still a kid.
Yeah.
You're still a kid,
Yeah.
to your parents, you know what I mean? No matter how old they get, you know what I mean? No matter how old you get, so take that to heart, man. Take that to heart, people. Seriously.
Yeah. Yeah. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes and, I mean, it's tough.
For a minute.
Alex Cosentino says, did you learn anything working with Robert Fuller that stuck out with you over your career?
Man, man, Parker, man, was good, man. I swear, man, he was real good. He was all about, being, Johnny on the spot, never late, always willing to go out there and do whatever it took, to get that match over. Yeah, man, I learned a lot about from Rob Fuller, man. He's a character, man. He always had to have the natural lights, baby. Gotta have the natural lights, and hey, he would hang out by the pool all day with some Speedos on, cowboy hat, drinking natural light all day long, man, at the Park Apartments in Atlanta, Georgia, man. That's where all the boys used to stay at. And man, he used to be out there at that pool just freaking sunbathing every week, man. It was like a vacation for him, back in that time. Man. I loved it, man. Yeah, but I learned a lot from that dude, dog.
Oh man, and the Alex Cosentino says, "Dark Side of the Ring, Booker T's Red Bulls." Yeah,
You know what? I'm gonna tell you right now, they can get a couple episodes, and they have to do a 2-part series. You know what I mean? Because I don't know what the hell guys will be thinking about with the Red Bull, because it will be a big cooler. It'll be 150 waters. And
You would think that's somebody's stuff.
And 2 Red Bull in a bag stuffed down in the bottom. You know what I mean? And somebody see the Red Bull and go, "Oh, we got Red Bull." Take one every time, man. I swear to God. God rest Sabu's soul. He was part of one of my Red Bull stories before we get up out of here. This guy named Tom Howard. Tom Howard was a guy who was in the locker room one day, and I walked in, and Tom Howard was drinking a Red Bull. And at the time, I didn't know who Tom Howard was, and I didn't know Tom Howard's name. And but he was drinking a Red Bull, and I walked in and I looked at him, and I looked in the cooler, and one of the Red Bull was gone. And I looked back at him, and I asked him, "Where'd you get that Red Bull from?" And he goes, "Oh, I got it out of the cooler." And I said, "And who are you?" Because I didn't know who he was. I had never seen him before. I said, no, but first of all, I said, "Why are you in this locker room?" And then again, "Why are you drinking my blinking, blink, bleep, bleep Red Bull?" And he goes, "Oh man, I'm sorry, man." And he goes, "I'll pay you for it." And he held the Red Bull up, and I just slapped it out of his hand. Bang, the Red Bull just went flying. I said, "Man, what?" I said, "Man, what are you doing in this locker room?" I said, "Man, get." And back a little bit. Sabu goes, "Oh, Book, I'm sorry, man. He's with me." And I go, "No, he's not with you." And I say, "Look, man, bounce up out of this locker room, man. Just bounce up out of my locker room, all right?" And then he started walking out of the locker room, and then he was walking down the hall, and I went and behind him. I go, "No, don't just leave out of the locker room, out of the building, man. Let's out of the building." So I walked him all the way to the back of the building, opened the door, and boom, walked him out, and let him, close the door, and I came back. And I found out it was Tom Howard, and he was an MMA guy. He probably could have kicked my ass all over that damn locker room. I'm so glad my adrenaline got me. I faked it. You know what I'm saying? He just didn't want to kill me. Wanted to. I was like, "What the hell was I thinking?" I found it out sometime later. I think Helms told me who he was. And I'm like, "Why did you tell me that before?" You know what I mean? About to get me killed over a damn Red Bull.
Oh man, you dodged a bullet that
I
day, man.
did. I dodged a bullet. This dumb dude probably was just trying to get a job, taking a light on me.
Oh man. See, look, we could do a whole podcast about just podcast series.
Damn it, I would have fought. I would have fought him.
Not sure the outcome. But I'll put some money on you. I'd put some money on you, especially then.
The outcome would have been, man, but I was mad enough to fight that day. I know that. I ain't lying, man. I was mad. Oh my God.
Well, those are all our super chats. We appreciate everybody for checking it out today and always sending those in.
Awesome, man. We'll be back on duty tomorrow, man. NXT, don't miss out, don't get shut out. I want to thank everybody for stepping inside the Hall of Fame, getting your champagne wishes. Caviar dreams, baby. Oh yeah. Brad followed the heavy lifting as always, man. And until next time, guys. Peace. We love you. We out.